For my final project on Chinese and Western cultural interactions, I decided to compare the food between Chinese versus other Western cultures. For flavors and food, Chinese food and flavors are some of the most distinct differences between the food cultures. Vegetables are almost always cooked in some way, whether frying, stewing, or boiling. Eating vegetables uncooked, like in Western salads or other methods, or sides, is very rare in Chinese culture. Seasonings and spices are also much different than those in the West. Chinese cooks use much less processed spices and more that are fresh from the source, such as ginger, mint, and pepper. And rather than salt, pepper, or ketchup, tables in Chinese restaurants traditionally use liquid seasoning bottles for soy sauce, vinegar, or other sauce additions. These sauces are often placed into little bowls given at the start of the meal to dip food in. Ingredients are significantly different from Western cultures as well. Chinese cooks often use more locally available ingredients available in China, and ones that are also deemed unusual to most Westerners. Winter melons, lotus pods, frogs, dogs, fungi, and a whole variety of internal organs are just some of the large variety of ingredients Chinese chefs consider. Some of these ingredients are so different than Western cultures that they are sometimes considered strange, but in truth, some Western foods are just as strange to Chinese cultures as their foods are to us. Manners and rules when dining in Chinese culture are also very different than Western cultures. A commonly known fact, chopsticks are traditionally used rather than Western utensils. This is a key cultural difference that is commonly known even in Western nations, and some consider it a sign of disrespect to not use them for traditional meals. In Chinese culture, communal eating, also known as group eating, is not just more common, but is the norm. The individual eating of Western countries is almost entirely absent in Chinese culture. Eating amongst a large group of others and sharing food is much more common in Chinese culture. For desserts, fruit and tea are the norm, rather than things like sweet pastries like cake or ice cream. After dinners, tea and or fruit will be served. General dining and cooking is also significantly different in Chinese cultures versus the Western culture. As well as dining in communal fashion to share food, most dining tables in Chinese culture are traditionally round, especially for family meals. This is not only convenient to share dishes with others at a table, as is tradition, but the roundness of the table also symbolizes unity in Chinese culture. Chinese culture also uses more methods of cooking than Western cultures. Steaming, braising, and quick frying are just some of the methods that are more traditionally used in China that are not used in Western countries. They are used much more frequently as well. Well-known and common Chinese dishes like Peking duck, Beijing kaoya, chow mein, fried rice, and kung pao chicken use these unique cooking methods to create their dishes. Through my research into Chinese and Western cultural foods, I found that even though there are a lot of differences, mainly in the ways that in Chinese culture, they often eat in larger groups, and that different ingredients are used that are not often considered in Western cultures, it is still kind of similar in a sense, as food is often situated around family and community, with dishes, eating, and cooking methods all being brought from traditions long ago. Even though Chinese cultures may have had communal eating and different ingredients, Western culture also has parts of social eating and personal ingredient culture. What is considered odd in Chinese culture is also considered odd by Chinese cultures in certain things that Western cultures do. While they are both different from each other in many ways, where the food culture comes from and where it is present, it is still both present in the ways that how people eat and cook. And I think it's interesting to see that even in completely different cultures, that cooking and other forms of food culture are a universal language that exists across all cultures. These were the three main sources I used to gather my information.